If you have any questions, if at any point of the AMA you will come up with a question, there is a special channel for your questions in the AMA section down below. It's called ProtocolX questions. So please feel free to put it there.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Macaroni. All right. So we'll start off with some of the introductions for the team. I have myself, Jay Ryan. I'm one of the newer members of the Tomb Raiders team. I got introduced to them through Degenic, and so I've been working with them for the past few weeks on some some stuff within the AMAs here and also a project that we're working on the side that we're talking about, which we'll release details at some point, but that's in its infancy. We got Degenic. Degenic, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, nice to meet you all. Do we have recording started, by the way?
We'll have it on our end as well, so we'll be good.
All right, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, nice to meet you all. I'm a new member of the Raiders team. I have not been in DeFi for very long, but I have a background in strategic market analysis and investment analysis.
All right, Smackaroony.
What, me? I'm just a shroom. Yep.
All right.
Been in Raiders of DeFi since day 5 of its existence, and just, yep, talking to people, doing some degening, having fun. That's all I am.
All right. Yeah, my background in crypto is about 8 months deep, but I have some previous background and some different business experience. Not a lot in the financial aspect, but I am, working on my master's in business administration currently, and long time of different leadership positions within the military and the different ranks. So that's really my background, and then I focus on networking and trying to work with other people. All right, so that covers us. Unless anybody else from the team ends up joining, we'll introduce them later. Let's do the team entry here for ProtocolX. Shiblord, the founder, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Shiblord or Neil. I'm fully doxed and KYC'd by Ashore, so I'm the founder of ProtocolX. I've been engaging full time in crypto since May, but I've been dabbling in it since I guess 2018, and then I started my first community manager job back in January of this year. But I've been full time crypto since May. And that's kind of my general background. My educational background beyond that is in economics. I have a professional background in everywhere from military to public service to small business, all in the real world, obviously. So a little bit diverse and very much so looking forward to building something that can actually be a good long-term success in DeFi with a great team behind me. And that is the cue for the rest of the team.
Hello, my name is Brandon, mainly known as Bran. I've been in crypto for over 2 years now. Started my first community manager job back in 2021. Got involved with DeFi. I was originally involved in blue chips, scalp trading, options. Got involved in DeFi, haven't looked back since. And yeah, in recent times, I've been community managing, doing moderator work and overall project, helping with projects. With marketing and such as well. But I'm the community manager at ProtocolX, and I'm happy to meet you.
All right, good to meet you, Bran.
CK? Hello, guys. I'm CK. I'm also known as Jack. I am doxed. I basically focus on back-end systems, bots, making sure the administration aspect is on going good, and making sure that the Discord is safe and everything's running smoothly. I got into DeFi last year. Had my ups and downs, some good projects, bad projects, and it's really shed light that we need more trustable actors in the space because there are a lot of bad people. So we at Protocol X are aiming to change that and make DeFi a safer place.
All right. Great to have you here.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Good to be here.
So let's dig into some of these questions here. All right. So first, Shibboleth, do you want to give us just a general overview? Tell us a little about the project.
Yeah, for sure. So we're kind of we're gonna become an ecosystem very quickly. So we're on Binance Smart Chain. Our pre-sale begins on August 10th. So this coming Wednesday at 1700 UTC, and the protocol will go live the following Monday, August 15th. Again, same time, 1700 UTC. So we are going to start out as a rebase protocol, of course, which many are on BSC, and a lot of good people out there in the space can work through those things with it. So we're going to have this primary rebase protocol functioning there. We're going to also introduce a variety of other legitimate sustainability variables literally from day one. So that's kind of where we're solving a problem that we've identified. And there's actually a few problems we identified that we're looking to solve, but one of which is rebase protocols and inflation. So by partnering with the partners that you have posted there, MDB, Ego, etc., very much more to come, even Charity, all that stuff there is going to all help us grow this ecosystem to be a much larger and fluent system for all of us all to work in. Directly speaking, utilizing MDB and the Ego's trading bot will allow us to become much more sustainable very quickly. And I have the protocol designed with a system that we're calling the SEM, the Sustainability Emissions. It's basically, so every month, so once per month, it'll decrease the APR from 10% down. So it starts out at 1.77% daily APR. Next month will be 10% below that. I think that's 1.593, if I'm not mistaken, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, up until a 12-month mark for which we are 0.5% daily APR passive income protocol. And the reason we do this is, one, it's important to get the early investors taken care of. It does also allow us to create some hype because it is a higher APR. And it also allows us to start going to work early on. So as these trading bots are funding the burn mechanisms, the buy and sales tax are funding the burn mechanisms, our LPs are growing in strength and size and varieties. All these different elements that are coming in. By that 12-month mark, my very hard goal is to get us to be a surplus in tokens minted to tokens burned. And by that, I just mean that if there is 1 million tokens minted per month, we want to be able to be burning 1 million plus tokens per month. And once we can utilize that, we're also engaging with things like our own custom LMS, so liquidity management system or service, depending how you want to look at it out there. We're not partnering with someone else on that. We're going to build our own custom and make that as efficient as possible for us to promote a rising floor theory. So there's a ton of different variables, and all of which are designed for sustainability and to also encourage an actual productive space. And the partners that we've identified thus far, whether we've announced them publicly, which we have some, or the ones that are going to be announced publicly very soon, are all projects and protocols and businesses and people in this space that are very, very either like KYC'd, doxed, whatever they're doing makes sense, no gimmicky stuff. So we're trying to create an environment of trust and of actual passive income in DeFi. And I think as some of these other partnerships get announced coming up here, that'll become even more clear. So we're taking everything. There's NFTs I haven't even talked about yet, which will have a revenue share system. So it's a big overview. Trying to keep it down to a couple words is a little bit tricky. And usually Brand might even have a little bit more to add here. So if I get too long-winded, just let me know, because I can literally talk about each and every aspect of these forever.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I think we've got some questions as we go too that might, if we aren't able to talk, or if you feel like you missed anything, maybe we'll cover them. Brand, you got anything you want to add right there?
Yeah, you know what? I'm like Neil. I can talk forever. So if you want to get straight into the questions, I'm sure they will get answered in there as well.
Okay,
Happy
perfect.
to answer whatever.
All right. So first, I want to ask who developed the contract. If not, Shiblord, what's your relationship with who developed the contract, and how are you ensuring the security of the contract?
Okay, so I've got a good answer for this one. The person who created our contract, the group and / company that created the contract, is actually good friends with us. We've had previous connections and obviously very reputable of their work. All contracts will be owned by Neil himself. So as Neil explained, he's KYC'd by Assure. So everything will be going in Neil's name. If anything goes wrong with the contracts, Neil's already said, it is down to him. Now, the company that created our contract will be known very, very soon. It is one of our upcoming announcements. There's a reasoning behind it. However, it will be an announcement coming soon. But rest assured, the team that is currently working on our contract and website, who works very, very closely to us, are a British-based team and an American-based team. Very, very good friends of ours, very reliable guys as well, and extremely excited for them to get that over to us as soon as possible. Speaking of the website, a little bit of alpha. The website will be done very, very, very soon. So we're hoping to get that live literally as soon as possible. We're talking about tomorrow or the next day. Everything should be good to go. But as for the contracts, of course, we've already got a direct connection with Certic. So that is probably the route that we're going to go through to get the contracts audited. And we also have the DEX and the X shares to get audited as well in the meantime. But we will be using, I have recommended SHIB. We've discussed it a little bit to go through a security firm, make sure that there's no backdoors in the contract. We all know that's a very big thing in the DeFi space. And make sure that all the routers are actually correct with no hidden test routers included. But there is a lot more to come. We can't announce it yet. There is a very, very bullish security-based announcement coming very, very soon, and it will all make sense on why we're very, very confident about security. And that should be announced prior to pre-sale, sorry.
Yeah, it should be Monday.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's great. Great that you guys have, like dates lined up and expectations set. That's great to hear. All right. I think that answers a lot of questions. Unless anybody up here, Degenic or Smackering, you got anything else you want to ask about that on the technical side of the contracts or anything?
So I'll just go into a little bit more information about the technical side of the contract. If just to ramble on a little bit, give me some airtime, Neil. You haven't let me speak much today. So so with regards to the contract, as I said, the team that we're working with on the contract, they are very, very good at what they do. Anything that we include, as Neil said, we're looking at introducing our own liquidity management system, which I'm really, really excited about. So we'll be creating that ourselves. We were going to have partnerships with other tokens and use their LMS system. However, we spoke to our team and said, hey, rather than pay X amount and have this in fees for the rest of our term, the biggest thing, as Neil said, is sustainability. So what we've done, every single day we're thinking of new methods. We've got the SEM model, which is obviously the decrease in liquidity, which is going to be in a contract. We're then going to introduce the LMS system, which is obviously the liquidity management system. And we're also going to introduce something called the auto treasury system. Now, what that is if you've ever noticed in a crypto token, a couple months go down the line, out of nowhere, the development team go, hey, we need to sell $350,000 to pay for X. Now, that's not something we believe is sustainable and not something that we believe should be happening. Understandable if it comes to a big partnership and it's go, hey, last resort, it's going to cost a little bit more than than we have. We're going to have to do that, of course. Push comes to shove. But what we're going to introduce is an automated bot within the contract, which we haven't even touched on bots yet, which we will go in a little bit more detail about our partnership with Ego. There will be a bot that will auto generate if it senses a transaction. So, for example, the bot won't populate a sale if it will say a $2,000 buy or a $100 buy. Once it hits a set threshold, we're still currently discussing that threshold now. What will happen is if there is a $10,000 buy, for example, what 1 or 2%, depending on the size of that buy, will be automatically sold from the treasury. One, for liquidity management. Two, to avoid any future dumps in the token. And three, just to make sure that we're not getting them extreme moonshots and then crashing down. One major feature in our contract is generically a token will have a burn tax in their buys and sells. We don't have that. What we have is a PXBB, which is the ProtocolX buyback and burn. So every single thing that is burnt from the PXBB will have to be purchased. Although you do get obviously partial PTX go in there, but the majority, if not, half of the transaction tax will be purchased and burnt. So instead of the insurance fund, as rebase protocols call them, having a open-ended use for it, ours will be specifically for burns. I've put it in my Git book today that it will be until at least 25%, and then obviously we'll reconsider. And what we're looking for is obviously to get inflationary as soon as possible and to help with emissions as soon as possible. Because as you know, once you get to a very, very high price, it becomes very hard to reach the burn percentage by purchasing. 1% then costs $1 million and becomes unattainable. So there are so many things going into our contracts. We've been speaking with our devs to make sure that we can have seamless migrations, that won't affect the investors, the protocol whatsoever. And obviously we can get everything audited with a reputable company. And obviously one of our announcements, which will be really nice, will obviously reassure investors how safe our work and contract is, and how much of a big priority security is. But if you've got any questions, anything at all, honestly, we're very, very open people. We answer pretty much whatever. There's not really any hard questions because we're really, really confident about our work. So if you've got anything at all, let us know, and I'll be happy to answer them for you.
Yeah, please, as Macaroni mentioned earlier, please post any questions you guys have throughout this in the ProtocolX questions chat. Once we get through these questions that we have from the team, then we'll start opening it up to community questions and touch on some things more in depth if there's anything there that you guys want to know. That was great talking about the treasury. That was one of the questions that I had was, how did you plan to bring it's a twofold question: bringing revenue to the project if purchases are down, and what would you do with the treasury as far as pulling from the treasury? What would be the last resort? But I think you have a system that's automatically coming from the treasury to help.
Well, yeah, I'll say
prevent
one thing. Yeah, I'll
price
say one
crash.
thing, and then I'll let Neil have a ramble about it because it was his idea. But from the get-go, we have always had that question, what if there is no volume? Now, one of our major partnerships that we have is with Ego. Ego is an unbelievable token who we strongly believe in. Now, Ego have their own algo bot and arbitrage bot. So what it then does is, based on their previous reports, it has an average, returns per month, different categories for the returns. Now, what we're planning to do is we instantly want to have as many external revenue sources as possible. So what that will be used for is to fund any team expenses. So that'll be team salaries, without having to sell any of the team supply or any from the treasury. So getting that external revenue source, not only is an additional feature for us to burn, B, helps cover any expenses that wouldn't need to be touched by the treasury. So it would all come externally. There wouldn't be, hey, why is $80,000 or, this month less the treasury for the team. What we're looking for is external ways to make sure everything is paid, the devs are paid, the marketing's paid, everything's paid, and try and make as many external sources as possible. Now that's another thing with our decks. With our decks, one of our partners, MDB Plus, their token is a sort of rising floor model. The price can't go down in the sense that unless it was obviously artificially hacked or manipulated, the price is coded sort of to always rise, sort of XUSD or a Surge USD model. So that is a liquidity pair that we're going to have on our decks. But our decks will be our secondary marketplace until we've rolled out all of our plans. But what I'll do is, I will pass it over to Shib just so we can talk a bit about X shares and the NFT model, just so we can touch on that a little bit for you guys.
Yeah, so just one quick point on the treasury. So one of the problems that I mentioned earlier that I see in projects out there is that, kind of like what you mentioned, well, what is this treasury used for? Because it just continues to accumulate over time and it's not being used. That's a problem that I want to help solve in this. If you have a $10 million treasury and your token price is going down every day because of dilution or whatever, that's a fail. That is a direct fail. I don't care what they've done to raise that money. It's nonsense. So what I'd like to do is have this money working for the project. Obviously, I'm not going to put our treasury to zero at any point, but the vast majority of it's going to be working. It's going to be on different investment opportunities between low and mid risk. I don't think I'm going to take any really high risk ones that allow us to continue to generate revenue and utilize that revenue to continue building through the project, because we have some much bigger things than just this this DeFi ecosystem that we have now. We plan on some pretty major and significant updates in the future. So we want to be able to use a treasury and build with it, but we don't want those major sells that you see from other protocols from the treasury, because it causes concern for people, of course. Even though we could explain it, this just gives that little bit of barrier. Say, hey, we have this opportunity to work with this money. If we need more, I can make an announcement and show people what we're doing just as easily. But that kind of goes a little bit further. So the NFTs. So we have designed this NFT revenue share model that we're going to call XShare. So they're going to be doors and NFTs. So it's a revenue share model based directly off of the buy and sales tax from the rebase token. This will be expanded over time. It could include a variety of other things, including revenue from the DEX or from other aspects of our investment strategies. But at the time that it launches, it'll be from the buy and sales tax. So the general philosophy of this is, let's say, these are theoretical numbers. I haven't set the exacts on what the prices for the NFTs will be just yet, so I don't really want to quote there. But let's say I have 20,000 max of these available. That is true. That's going to be a valid factual statement. If we sell out 10,000 of them, and the buy and sales tax accumulates $10,000, then once per defined period of time, I think I'm going to do it weekly or bi-weekly, it'll distribute those funds to all of the NFT holders. So ideally, obviously, you need that return to be much more than $1 per week, but that's just a very high level overview of how that system will work. If there's $100,000, for example, then that changes that formula. So that's the idea there, to create a revenue share system that allows us to put back more to the community who are also investing in us. It gives us money to work with and to build with and to continue to invest into these other revenue strategies that we are designing. And it also allows them to get money back on their end while we're also doing buybacks and burns of the token, which is, by the way, directly going into the taxes that go back to the NFT revenue shares. So our buybacks are supporting the NFT share system. The NFT share purchasers who mint those are supporting our ability to support that system. So it's an actual transparent circle of life here that we're able to work with our community and with our investors to make it so that they're not sitting on their hands hoping for a penny a day in a few months, like many other inflationary protocols have brought people down to. Generally speaking, from there, so that's the whole NFT aspect. We're also going to introduce 3 tiers of those NFTs. You're going to have your base tier, then there's going to be upgraded tier models. And then from there, another element that we have here is called X keys. So to get these X keys, you just basically exchange that PTX, that rebasing token, into a contract to obtain X keys. This contract will be immediately used as a burn strategy, so those tokens go right to a dead wallet. I have no access, I'll have no control of them, it's just a burn mechanism. With these X keys, the community can use them for the lottery that we'll have developed as well, or they can use them to upgrade those doors to the higher tiers. With the higher tier doors, obviously we'll give them a little better percentage of the NFT revenue share model. So that encourages, the community to burn tokens to help me keep those emission rates down, but also benefits them directly, whether it's involving a lottery or it's involving upgrading their NFTs to get a little better ROI from the revenue share system.
All right, great in-depth answer there. That answered the question about the NFTs. Yeah, a lot of the questions about that. I was going to ask later who's the artist behind them, if you guys are going to announce that yet, or if that's going to wait until ready to mint.
So we did actually have an artist custom draw them. However, the a really cool thing is actually the doors are going to be AI generated. Now there'll be more information on that later. However, we did have an artist custom make our doors, but we've decided to use AI generation, so there'll be a complete one-of-one with completely no matches. You'll never be able to find anything similar. So a lot more information will come on that, but we will be using sort of AI technology to generate them based on text input, but the information on that will come at a later point. But we have a lot of plans based around. See, one thing I just want to say: everything that we're doing is open-ended. So with the sustainability side on ProtocolX, with the rebases dropping every month, so starting off at 1.77 and going down to 1.51, etc., it allows us to get to 0.5% and then reconvene without the year going crazy and everyone having 4,000 times their tokens. We're able to go, hey, okay, we've got to the end of the year now. What can we do with this? The same with our X shares model. So that token is on a 10-year distribution, 5 billion a year. So that stays the same. So for 10 years, that's sustainable. Now with the X shares and the X keys, that can also be adapted. If you've looked at our roadmap, we're very, very open in regards to what we want to do. Now, once we have our business model tied down, we also want to look into gamification and stuff like that. So having doors and land, etc., it leaves it open-ended for us to go, hey, we've got this really cool game plan or game idea. Let's use this. The investors already have the product, so they won't have to spend any more money. And let's get this going. So it just leaves everything open-ended, and that's something we're really excited about. One thing I don't like is when projects have a plan A and they have no plan B, no plan B, no plan C. But every single day we're thinking of, plan B, plan C, plan D. So if something doesn't go to plan, we have a backup plan. But yeah, super excited for it.
Did that answer the question there? Sorry, don't want that white space.
Oh yeah, no, that's great. And we have a bunch of great questions from the audience. Shall we start getting into a couple of those?
Of course, go for it.
Vincent asked, when will he be able to read the contract? I see that you guys have audit planned post-launch.
Yeah, so as soon as we get the contract, we're going to have it go up on GitHub there, and then that'll be obviously public access. Anyone can go read over it. It'll obviously also be on BSC scan, so that'll be when it gets deployed for the BSC scan part. And if anyone is not too clear on how that works, you can just simply go. I just recommend using maybe BUSD or whatever token you're used to. Go on to BSC scan and then just click on contract there. And if you're not very technical, you might not really understand what you're looking at, but you'll at least be able to see it and kind of go over it there. The Gitbook version is much clearer and much easier to kind of navigate, so we'll put it up there so that it is very transparent. Anyone can go take a look at it. Obviously, that also allows it to be forked if somebody wishes to do that. I have no issue with that. This is a world that we're trying to promote good things in DeFi, so I don't care. I'd rather people be able to work off of what I'm having built here because it benefits the entire community. So it'll be very public, very transparent. The audits will obviously be public and transparent, and they'll be from, Brand mentioned Certic earlier. It'll definitely be from one of the top two that are out there, Certic or Shore. Those are the top two. So that'll be completed very quickly after we go live. Quite frankly, they cost a little bit of money to do, of course, and we put a lot of money into marketing and getting this thing developed and established. And the contracts will change just a little bit, so we'll get that audit done on the pieces that are not going to change, like the X swap, the exchange, and things like that there. So that could be there and ready to go, ready to view, and then we'll have the updated audits as soon as possible.
Great, thanks. Logus767 asks if you're planning to launch a DEX, and if you'd talk more about that.
We are. So I'm going to take a little bit of a different route than what, a lot of these DEXs are launching out there are. And I'll release probably a partnership PDF here on maybe Monday or Tuesday, and probably right before we go live or sometime during next week, that'll go into how we're going to make this a bit different, this DEX in and of itself. So we've seen DEXs pop up all over the place on every single blockchain imaginable, right? And then all you see from there is people are just trying to sell to get people on that DEX, and they don't really care who it is. They just need volume because it, quite frankly, makes them money. These DEXs aren't the cheapest things to build, so they want some return, which is understandable. What we've decided to do, though, is change that system a little bit. I paid for this DEX to be built out of pocket, so I'm not stressing too much. I'm not going to sit here and force it to generate me money personally, because that's worth nothing to anybody. So what we've elected to do, which will come involving the partnership announcements that we've kind of teased a little bit earlier, involving the development team as well as some security aspects. I've developed some official partnerships with them that'll be announced soon. There'll be a very, very specific vetting process for the people who utilize our DEX, or the projects who utilize our DEX. It'll have the swap capabilities, of course. It'll have farms. It'll have staking. You'll also be able to access a lottery on there. Our entire website is going to be Web3. So you're not going to go to the DEX, to the dApp, and connect your wallet. You can connect from any page there, and your wallet will stay connected for throughout. So that's a little bit different as well than what some others may be doing currently. But more or less, our DEX is going to be a platform of transparency, of security, of verification, things like that. And that's how I want us to differentiate ourselves, is be that place where, hey, these are people who are at least vetted. Now, can I promise that a project won't fail? Of course not. But if they're up there, they've at least been KYC. They've at least have a vetting process go through, and not just oh, looks like you guys are building something cool, come on in. It's going to be a relatively stringent vetting process, and I'll turn people down at a heartbeat if I don't think that their product is going to be good for our platform. I want this to be a community that can all utilize this DEX and feel safe and comfortable when they're on it and when they're functioning around with it.
Yeah, great. Do you plan to use Uniswap v2, v3, or Balancer v2?
So it's basically a PCS fork in and of a sense. So it'll be kind of like PancakeSwap.
Yeah, cool. And somebody asked, Dev123 asked, how do you plan to incentivize liquidity both for the DEX and before that for ProtocolX?
See, sometimes Brown will jump in there. So a couple different ways there. So obviously having a DEX and having strong liquidity is incredibly important, right? So we all are very, very clear on that. The strong liquidity is a good thing for a project. So what we're electing to do, and this, I have another partnership announcement that might change the variables just a little bit, but we're going to choose a primary exchange. Let's just say I use PCS. Let's just go this route. That's where we are here and today. This could change just slightly as we move forward. But my primary LP, as of yesterday at a certain hour, was going to be on PancakeSwap. So from there, boom, strong LP, take 20% of the pre-sale, throw it in there, and allow that to feed itself with the buy and sell stacks involving the token itself. So from there, you start establishing other aspects of liquidity through the DEX that we've created. And that's where like my partnership with MDB is going to come into play. So I'm going to put a smaller liquidity of my token MDB on my DEX. And why? Because their token has tokenomics that support the liquidity in and of itself via trades. So when people use that, it'll actually be basically generating more for us to work with from that aspect there. And that is also the same thing with two other partners that I've got formalized between last night and today that we haven't made announcements just yet. So we can do some certain things here, whether we are making different LPs that from the liquidity side are supporting the token, or we have a primary strong LP until we can boost up the notoriety and basically the marketing aspect of our DEX and then move that primary LP over to there. That was an option that I've considered until I guess yesterday and this morning when I've got some of these other partnerships about to go formal. So that's where the liquidity aspect is there, slow and steady.
Yeah, so just to add on to what Shiv is saying, is that you always have a solid plan when it comes to launching a token. You go, hey, this is what we're going to do. As Shiv said, 20% here, 20% there. And then all of a sudden, you've got tokens reaching out. You've got projects reaching out. Hey, we want you to list on us. We want you to put something with you. And, everything is an ever-changing process. As Shiv said, between our last AMA, which was just shy 24 hours ago, we've had 2 additional partners reach out and say, hey, we want to work with you guys. So every single day, it's an ever-growing process. Now, one thing our DEX will be offering in regards to when, say, PancakeSwap just don't go, we won't do that. So there will always be a percentage that will go directly back to the protocol itself for them to put back into their liquidity, for us to add as liquidity to the DEX, and for them to use for marketing. Now, that will all be verified, and there'll be a huge document about that on why you should use our DEX and how it will benefit your token. But with regards to 2 of our partners, it will all make a lot more sense once it's announced. It's something we can't announce just yet. We're hopefully looking for next week. But instead of launching projects on as a launch pad, which, doesn't make too much sense unless you're a project such as SafeMoon, FegX. If you're a very small project with a very, very tight community, what you're going to end up doing is if you're launching projects on your DEX, what are they going to get money from? The only money they're going to find is from dumping your token. Realistically, we've seen it in numerous projects. So what we're doing is the DEX will be a secondary DEX We won't be pushing it as our main DEX. It'll be a secondary DEX. There will obviously be our partnership with Ego, which is obviously arbitrage bots. So that will keep the price steady, which will generate more revenue for the protocol. So that is one part of our partnership on our DEX, the algo bots. So that will help other tokens potentially who want to come on the DEX, help fund them, especially with a partnership with Ego. So that's another thing we can delve into. And yeah, having that set liquidity go back to the project, it just opens doors. And one thing I've said it in many AMAs now, is there's no point in trying to outsmart the market, try and go all guns blazing. Here's our DEX, use our DEX, we're the best DEX. It's not going to happen. You need to build it from the ground up. You need to grow your community through an established one, whether that be through PancakeSwap, whether that be through SafeMoon, whether that be through, whatever DEX we, partner with, etc., grow with. You have to understand that you can't just, hey, launch a token, here's our DEX, we're going to put all our liquidity in it. Because once the volume dies down, who's going to really go to your DEX? So what we're doing is giving ourselves time to put all of the business models in place, use all of the external revenue sources to feed the DEX, to have all of the people lined up ready to launch with liquidity pairs, farming pairs, staking pairs, fresh tokens that want to launch. We're going to have a service to help them with that, although not a launch pad, but there'll be much more information to come that soon with one of our partnerships. Will make complete sense. But yeah, we will be, helping tokens get off the ground. But we understand that you can't just do that from the get-go. We haven't got, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of holders to say, hey, we're going to launch this token for them. It just doesn't work. So we know it takes time. We know there's a process, and we're making sure that we do that process properly before sort of going full guns blazing.
Yeah, great answer. Thank you. So along similar lines, how will you ensure that partner relationships stay healthy, and that the more successful partner protocols don't, wind up vampiring TVL from less successful ones?
Now, our protocol, every project we work with is heavily vetted. Now, everyone we're working with is a project that we believe in. So, if we didn't believe in them, we're not going to put our name to them. Now, that's something I believe in strongly. I get exactly what you mean. And hey, it's a dog-eat-dog world. There's nothing you can really do about that. Keeping partnerships healthy is important by making sure that they're still incentivized to use your product. Now, that's the exact reason why I've said going head first and saying, hey, we're going to have the biggest DEX and use our DEX. That's not possible. What you're then doing is setting up partnerships with false expectations. And that's when the vampire teeth come out, as you said, saying, yeah, we're going to launch a DEX. We're going to have this much volume. This is how much we had in the first day. Because I've seen DEXs have 5 million volume in one day. Then the next day have $50,000 in volume because the hype's completely died already. Now, what we're planning to do is obviously with our partnerships with Ego, the arbitrage bots, keeping the volume going, keeping everything going. But yeah, every partnership we have are heavily vetted, and we make sure that the agreements in place are mutually beneficial and not one-sided, and that's extremely important for us. We don't want to partner with anyone where it's either all benefits them and all benefits us. That's why we've had a few people that we were going to partner with in referring to the LMS system and gone, hey, this isn't for us. We don't like how this is very, very one-sided or very sort of dog-eat-dog. So yeah, man, everything's very, very vetted. Everything's heavily put through the ringer, especially with all the team members. We've got to make sure all of their team members, all of our team members are happy. If any single one member in our, go, hey, I don't think that's right, then we have a full-on discussion about it and make sure that everyone's on the same page.
If I may just add real quick, also literally right before you asked that question, I was on Telegram with another person who is a partner of ours here, the founder of their protocol. As you kind of brought that up, I was like, hey, I'm also going to make this networking Discord. So all of these partners that we've accumulated here, I want us all to be able to come together and talk like a business, because that's another issue we've seen in DeFi. And I think all of us here can can agree to this one. The last year or so, it's just chaos. It's just people without business experience, without a business mindset, trying to push their product, make some money. Maybe they're in with good intentions, but with bad experience, and that's fine. So I want us to bring us all together, at least have an access point to each other, engage with each other's communities, help each other build. Because quite frankly, if any of them, like Brand said, if they start showing greedy, I'll show them the door. It's just as easy as that, and vice versa. If we start getting greedy here, I'd expect them to kick us to the curb too. And that's what we're kind of basing this whole relationship on, is an actual business relationship where we are mutually benefiting the DeFi space and the communities that we work for.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, enforcing mutual trust there, holding each other accountable. I think that's a big thing that a lot of people are looking for as we move towards security and trust within DeFi. All right, great answers, guys. I really appreciate all that. One thing I want to move to real fast, or not really real fast. I guess kind of probably be an in-depth answer. I saw someone else bring it up in the community questions, and we had it on our list. Is why Binance, right? What about Binance makes the network suitable for Protocol X and its performance long term? What benefits does it offer?
I've got quite a simple answer for that, and you can elaborate on into it. It's as simple as if it's not broken, don't fix it. Now, you can sit there and pretend, and that's the exact same thing I say with the deck situation is, how many rebase projects are on ETH? None. How many are on AVAX? There's a few, but not quite successful. If you're in a market to try and better the current state of, hey, it's like building a car, for example, yeah? You're not going to build a car and go, hey, my one hovers, unless, it is the best hover car. It's what we're doing is we've have the rebase model and gone, hey, rebase model is, typically suited for BSC. It's just one of the largest style of tokens in BSC right now. You look at people like Safe, who massive, over 150,000 holders. Even models like Titano and Sphere, who started out as a rebase model. However, what we've identified is it's not the rebase problem. It's not the rebase tokens or the owners that are problems. What it is the unsustainability of the tokens. Now, launching the token, having, hey, it's this much X, APY, you're going to have $1 million at the end of the year, is all fun and games until people don't. So that's one thing we're completely avoiding. And to not, skip about the question, why BSC? One, extremely cheap gas fees. Two, extremely easy to work on. Three, extremely easy to expand from and migrate from. So if we ever did decide to, migrate to a new chain or create a chain or whatever else we may decide, it's not too difficult to migrate from without too many issues. I also think the Block Explorer, BSC scans, much more easier to use than stuff like Harmony and Phantom. They're extremely difficult to use. And what you don't want is trying to put a model that's already established in a completely foreign territory. Doing that could be successful, but it also has a massive risks. In my time, I was going to launch a NFT project on Velas chain. Big fan of Velas. If you don't know who they are, they're one of the major sponsors is Ferrari. Very good. I designed one of the best looking NFT tokens. However, it didn't matter how good it was. If the demand for NFTs on the Velas chain isn't there, no one's going to care. Now, I've seen so many good projects on, chains that it doesn't suit just because people wanted to be different. And that just takes me back to the, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And we all know the home of rebase projects is BSC because of the big dogs such as Titano, such as Sphere, such as Seifu. And that's where the community is. So there's no point in trying to get a community to be community and trying to teach them C. So keeping everything in line on BSC, and we'll grow from there and see where it takes us.
Yeah, great answer. Perfect. Yeah, I agree with that. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I think that's a good answer. Why mess with a model that's proven itself to be successful? So you did mention the NFTs, right? Again, within Binance, and so I was wanted to do something here. One of the guys that we have in the audience right now is the founder of BitDamons and created a couple of the NFTs that I'm going to be giving away. He's got a couple questions. Lucky, I was going to see if maybe you wanted to come up and and ask with your expertise. Raise your hand if you're willing to come up on stage and chat. There we go.
Hello, fellas. How are we?
Looking lucky.
Hello, mate. Lovely to speak to you.
Yeah, nice to speak to you as well, man. Yeah, so I know Degenic and Jay Ryan from Fuck Around on Phantom together with NFTs, basically. It's been really interesting hearing about your projects. Don't know if I have any questions I haven't already thrown down in the chat though.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
We one thing we've noticed is we me and Neil, we don't shut up, and that's one of our big problems. So me and Neil kind of have to keep nudging each other, like, okay, stop talking now.
I get that, mate. You know, when you've been trying to sort through something, envision it, like you know exactly what's going on in your head. It just sends that monologue, doesn't it? But no, it's
Yeah,
been
it's
really
like
interesting.
that
It's
sentence
really you guys
should
are
be
passionate
two
about it, you know.
words. Yeah, that sentence should have been like 30 seconds long, and it turns into a 25-minute ramble. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
anyone,
I
if
do.
you've got any questions, like our business model is, we've even got more business models that we're currently working on actual tangible business plans for to pitch to VCs and actual blockchains to work with them directly in creating that model. But that will come later down the line. What we want to focus on now, instead of saying, hey, we've got this massive thing we're going to do in a couple of months. We want people. We know people love the rebase model. That's what people buy. Whatever else you make is a bonus. As long as the rebase model is sustainable, everything else can come at a later date. So I think keep him focused on the main goal, which is sustainability, which it always has been from the start. I think we'll have huge success in making sure that this doesn't become another falling life project.
I think it's a good idea as well, like especially when you're starting out, to make sure that you like keep your initial, like your main targets in mind, because it's very tempting to spread yourself thin and
Oh
try
no,
and do
I
things at once and
totally
then,
agree, and that's why we're not
yeah.
sitting there going promising the world. I'm literally saying to you, we are trying to be the most sustainable rebase project, and all of our partners so far, we've got 3 to announce. We've got so many in the pipeline. I've even got some CEOs messaging me right now, and I'm trying to tell them I'm in an AMA. But what we're doing is, and that just brings me back to the partnerships, and then I'll welcome any questions, is when you pick your partners, the biggest thing that we focus on is making sure that A, their work ethic is in line with us, and B, that their goal is similar or the same as us. Now, I don't want to work with someone just because of clout or just because they've got things, because it brings it back to the vampire question is, okay, so what happens when it stops being beneficial for them? And then they leave you. Now, it will happen. It's business at the end of the day, and crypto is a dog eat dog world. But we are obviously planning for every scenario. If one of our partners, hopefully not, does pull out, there is always a backup plan. We've always got other people willing to work with, and obviously other people willing to grow with. So yeah, honestly, I welcome any questions. And obviously, yeah, thank you for obviously listening to us today. It's been a great AMA. I feel like it's been a lot of information that has come out today. I would say, as one last bit of alpha from me, keep an eye on the announcements on Monday. We should have a big few announcements to make. Wrap some up tonight as well, and it should be a day of announcements. We'll keep some of the alpha waiting for Monday.
Great,
I've
great.
got a quick question before let other people type. So I missed the very first 10 minutes. I don't know if you guys said this already, but do you have previous experience
Yes,
in projects on the blockchain? Like there's like 10 more people in it than when I joined, so like it'd be cool to hear about that.
yeah. So I worked on a project. I was a community manager. I've done social media. I've done marketing. I've dealt with all how to say advisory side of crypto. I'm currently a moderator in some of the biggest rebase projects. So obviously I got a lot of respected friends who I love to pieces in the DeFi space. So I've got a lot. My main role is community management. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. As a team, all 7 of us, we working together. I'm quite good at speaking. I know a lot about the project. I know a lot about the aspirations. So me and Shib and CK mainly take the public speaking side, but just to stress, there is all 7 of us working. All of us have known each other for quite a while. Me, CK, and one of our guys, Adam, have gone a year and a half back. um, since we first met. So the whole team as well works really well together. We really gel well together. But as for my experience, I'm very well versed in crypto, especially with reflections tokens, rebase tokens, marketing connections, the lot. So I've got a lot of connections everywhere. I've got a lot of ideas. We've got a lot of ideas. So yeah, I know Shib has been around for a while, so I'll let him explain his as well quickly.
Cool, cheers, mate.
Yeah, so like Brandis mentioned, everyone that's on my team here has either experience in crypto, in real business, or both. So that's kind of where I fall in the category. I could speak more so about myself with that end. I've run small business in the real world. I've done that kind of aspect there. I've also done jobs which how do I want to word this? The engaging with humans aspect is very, very important. I've worked in the public service industry, and then I was in the military prior to that. And I've had a family business in my family for, I don't know, since 1954, so whatever period of time that is. So I kind of grew up in that environment there and started engaging in crypto back in 2018 just as an investment opportunity. I have a background in economics from an education perspective. So that investment was an opportune one at the time, of course. As we've kind of developed on here, I became a community manager for one of the larger node protocols that were out there. Back in January is when I started with them. I still work on their team now as a higher team role, trying to more so work as an advisor as well as a community manager. Kind of like what Brand is doing for me is what I do for them. And then I've worked with advisory roles with other projects, unpaid mostly, just to keep them kind of pushing and going forward and also answer any questions and trying to link them up with good people. CK has a tremendous amount of experience with different projects and networking opportunities. Brand is the same way. And everybody on my team has vast experience in whatever their field is designed to do here, as we all kind of fall into our own little niche inside of the totality of the team to allow us to kind of function as one piece there.
Great answers, thank you. That actually leads me to the question I was thinking about for a little while, which is a kind of a hard one, and then I've got an easy one for you as well.
Hey, Nick.
Huh?
1 second before you ask your question. Hey, everybody! While you're here, while we got everybody's attention, we'll just run this in the background. And while we got Lucky here too, Smackaroony's gonna throw up the first giveaway for one of the Tiny Demons, which is the latest release collection from Lucky and the Bit Damons. So that'll be running down in the questions chat. She'll post that up in a couple minutes, and we'll have that running. So pay attention. Just Smackaroony, just let us know when you pop that up. All right, go ahead, Nick. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no worries. All right, and great that we have Lucky here for that. I don't think we even had to pay him.
Yeah, I mean,
so thank you, Lucky.
I'm giving him one of the ones, or I'm giving away one of mine, but it's nice to have him here while we do it, so he can, everybody can see his artwork and get familiar with him too. So.
Yeah, no, great timing. That's cool. So I was going to ask Shiplord, so why a rebaser as opposed to a node or a Zoom fork or any of the various others? And then the easier question is, I'd love for you guys to talk a little more about what you intend to do to help make DeFi safer, as you mentioned earlier, and in that vein, what your plans are for community engagement. And then before we close out, you guys, I would also love for you to talk a little more about the pre-sale and how people could go participate in that.
Yeah, so great questions there. So funny you say that. So my first occupational experience in DeFi is with the node protocol, kind of what I mentioned there, right? So there are some real issues with nodes that are similar but different than rebase tokens. So let's say you and I invest today. I invest $10,000 into a node project. You invest $10,000 into a rebase project. And they both earn 1% daily APR. In 30 days, we both have earned the same amount, token appreciated the same. Fantastic. I take my profits. I don't remember which node owner takes their profits, right? So now they've just obtained whatever return on their investment is. From that point, they sell their tokens, but there's another variable. Those nodes are still generating and still minting, in a sense, more tokens. But for the other rebase project, I sell, I pay the taxes, those tokens are gone. I don't have a continuous, system that's just going to keep pushing out more and more tokens indefinitely. And that's a major issue for sustainability. And I don't want to raise any red flags for node protocols because I work for one, but it's much more difficult to navigate, right? So with this system here, I can see what is going to be the amount of tokens rebasing based on these projections. Okay, cool. Now I can develop these other outside revenue streams. How many tokens do I need to burn in order to facilitate that net surplus mechanism that I want at the 1 year mark? Those are things I can actually do with a rebase protocol and from a numbers perspective. From a node protocol, it's compounded not just in the tokens and in the APR, but in the nodes producing tokens in APR. So it becomes very complicated over time. I personally like rebase protocols. I think there's been actually a pretty decent level of success in DeFi for them. I know some have not gone great, but comparatively to nodes, rebase protocols generally have done pretty well. That might be because of BSC, to be honest. But nevertheless, that's just been a thing there. It also allows me to build a very large and diverse ecosystem based off of this one small theory of a rebase protocol. So it gives me a lot of expansion opportunity that I can all feed together very, very easily. And quite frankly, there is more money rolling around on BSC than on AVAX right now. That's just truth. That's factual. So things like that are all things that we considered as we decided to bring this idea to life. And this is what we're going to roll with there. So I think I answered that first question, kind of forgot the rest of them minus the pre-sale. So if there's one in the middle, remind me there.
Yeah, I can answer that one. That's no problem. So as for marketing and community engagement, as I said, the whole team on ProtocolX, we have somewhat experience of moderation or community management. We are already planning the first 2 months of community events, down to buy and hold events, down to community poker nights, down to everything. As for marketing, as I said, I'm very well versed in the crypto space. So is Ship. We've got a lot of marketing connections, whether that be for, direct access for CoinMarketCap, direct CG, everything, adverts, AMAs. Our marketing plethora, sorry, I don't know how to say that word. I just want to try it. Our marketing plate is very, very full, and we have a lot of options. The one major thing for marketing, and which I stress, our main focus for marketing, we are doing a lot of AMAs, but that's exactly what we want to do. Now, we worked out that it costs the same amount of money to go to the whole Dubai crypto event with sponsored merch, sponsored leaflets, actually, partner and speak to tokens. That would be, 15 people going, hotel accommodation for 2 weeks. That would cost the same price as a YouTuber in the crypto DeFi space. So we're not being impulsive. We're being very, very smart and strategic about what we plan to do, especially with the business model that we're planning. And yeah, we're looking more for partnerships and collaborations and discussions with VCs and blockchains rather than generic, hey, let's pay a YouTuber $10,000 and hope for the best, because it doesn't work. It's very rare you get engagement and such. Yeah, so we're just looking at utilizing funds efficiently at this point.
Very nice. Hey, everyone, giveaways up in the ProtocolX questions if you want to get entered on that real quick. All right. Just want to make sure nobody missed their chance. Nick, that answer your questions there?
Yeah, great answers.
The only thing I think was a pre-sale he asked about as well, if I may.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
All right, cool. So the pre-sale is going to be August 10th. So this coming Wednesday, 1700 UTC. This will be on our website. It should be debuted in the next couple of days, Monday at the latest, from what I understand here. And our pre-sale is going to be done on our own smart contract, our own pre-sale contract. So it'll be hosted through that website, not pink sale, nothing like that. So the token price of the pre-sale is 0.06, as in 6 cents. But you engage with the pre-sale with BNB. So keep that in mind. It's 6 cents per token, as in 0.06 BUSD, but it's purchased in BNB. There is a 20 million token allocation for the pre-sale, which will end on August 15th. That is the hard cap. I do not have a defined soft cap. I can pretty much work this strategy with whatever happens. If we sell out, amazing. That's what I'm looking for, obviously. But we can work with whatever. So that's the gist of it there. There is no buy tax associated with that pre-sale between the 10th and the 15th. Once we go live on the 15th, it'll be a buy tax will be implemented, as well as the token price will start at 0.07. So if you engage in the pre-sale, you get it at 1 cent per token cheaper, and you have no buy tax associated with it. So those are the pros to get it there. And why do I do that? Because that money in the pre-sale allows me to invest into these other outside revenue systems that'll allow us to really thrive and prosper and really generate real high-level revenue on day one.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks.
Yeah, great. Real quick, how much more of your time do we have?
Are you talking SARS?
Yeah. How much more time you guys got?
As much as you need us for, my man.
All right. Okay. I got a couple questions I want to cover here, and there's just a couple more in the community that I think would be. So one thing a couple people have hit on it again. You've talked about the partnerships that you're aiming for and how many you're going for and stuff like that. I had a question in here. Like for make DeFi better, right? So how do you anticipate leveraging your partnerships and those communities to bring revenue to both? I think you might have talked a little bit about it earlier, but just want to get a clear answer there.
Yeah, so this is the mindset that we're helping change here, and this is the only way that real business works. And this dog eat dog mentality is going to be how projects fail indefinitely. So if you have one because quite frankly, if I'm competing with, insert project I partnered with, I'm not actually competing with them. I'm competing with, I'll name them here. I'm competing with Seifu, right? Because they're big, they're huge, they're a big dog. And we're growing up here in this space here with our pre-sale going just live. So if we all crushed each other, one, on our level, it would not make any sense at all. So if the bigger dogs try to attack us, a couple things from there is, one, we have a community and we have a networking team together. We have a product, we have a vision. So it'll be good free exposure. Nevertheless, that's not the goal of these businesses. Our goal is to create an environment of trust and of growth and of development and diversification, because my team is different than the teams that I partner with, for example. So you can invest in me and in ProtocolX, and have Brand and CK up here. You can invest in Ego, you can invest in Charity, you can invest in MDB, because we are all different in our day-to-day operations, with a similar goal in mind. And I think diversification is going to be key for any portfolio. Obviously, that's a finance 101 kind of aspect there. And then from this kind of baseline of we're all trying to benefit the space via actually good ideas, different teams, different visions, not try to take each other out. The other partnerships that I'll have announced here, I think on Monday, will also lead into this path of security, in a sense, where if you're going to be listed on our decks here, you are going to have this step for sure. If you don't do that, you're not listed. If you don't want to do that, you're not listed. I don't care. That's the end of the question for me. Or quite frankly, if you do it with them and you fail their system, you're not going to get listed. So that helps promote that sense of security, but also takes that greed aspect away. And Brand mentioned earlier about having the team salary on outside revenue sources. That's going to be done as quickly as humanly possible, and we're going to be paid, fairly. I'm not going to be paying stupid amounts of money to the team if the protocol is struggling. You just cannot do that in business. So what we're trying to implement here is say, hey, we have a strategy that works in DeFi. We have a system that works in DeFi. And then we could take some of these outside real world and real people skills and real business skills and start implementing little by little, because you cannot run this like a brick and mortar business, obviously, but you can integrate both philosophies and allow this to actually become a long-term sustainable protocol for passive income that operates on DeFi as we grow and implement some of these things that we haven't even announced yet in the future that bring it to a true and real explosive business model, hopefully sooner rather than later as well, with even bigger partnerships that will come with that. So this is what we're here to do. And that's kind of why I want to build that networking Discord for all of the people that we partnered with, because I want them to come with me in some aspect, right? So if I develop this system and I can chat with them there, maybe they know someone that can help us get off the ground, maybe vice versa. Maybe they're trying to work on something and my team of developers that I'm partnering with can help them get that, right? So we all work together, we feed into the system. We're all different in our own aspects, but we can all work together to grow in this space. And I think that's going to be what differentiates DeFi from this year and last year to what it'll be in the next couple of years, is those who try to fight each other are going to fail.
Okay, yeah, great answer. I appreciate that. So one question that I have while we've been talking about partnerships and bringing liquidity and making sure that you guys are bringing value, to the project. So I've never really heard this question asked in an AMA, or at least ones that I've listened to. What are your plans if your protocol reaches a point of critical failure, right? So if it's obvious that it can't recover, if it's a dying project, do you guys have a plan in place to notify investors or help investors preserve their capital and get out without losing everything before it's too late?
I'll answer that question honestly, and say the project only dies if the development team gives up. Now, we've been in many, many projects that had huge potential, and the only reason why the project died was because the development team didn't stick to their plan and their goals. I honestly believe and I'm not just saying this because everyone would say this, that we should not hit a point of critical failure if we continue with plan A, plan B, and plan C. As I said before, we have that plan B and plan C if plan A doesn't work. But with the plan that we have and the team that we have and the scheduling we have, I don't believe personally, as an investor, not even as working for the project, with what I know and how we have set things out, that this would ever come to a point of critical failure. Now, the project itself isn't going to launch at an insanely high market cap, which means we don't have an insanely high risk factor. Any growth is obviously welcomed. However, the project is built from day one to be sustainable, even at a low market cap. Even if people decide, hey, they want to dump, the plans that we have in place for market and expansion and obviously growth, especially with the returns just based off our investment in ego, which will reflect back a month, would probably offset if we went to a critical point in market cap. If we dropped to say 70%, then hey, that $100,000 we buy and shoot us straight back up. So I think we're launching with some projects, hey, let's do a 10 million raise and let's get this 50 million market cap with no real use case. I am more than happy to start at the lowest possible market cap and work our way up and prove a point. Now, once you hit, if it hits 100 million market cap and it free falls, then obviously we'll have to do some risk evaluation and see, hey, what can we do to help investors? Of course. And that's obviously a whole part of my plan of saying, hey, we've got plan A, B, and C, but we also need to think of plan D. So, yeah, no, of course, we've always got a plan. However, I personally won't sit there and go, hey, this is what we're going to do if it reaches critical failure point, because I personally don't believe with the amount of sustainability features we have that will happen. And if it does, then it would be down to, obviously neglect, if I'm completely honest with you, or, negligence. As I said, if you've got a solid business model, you have a solid contract, you have a solid team, the only way that token is going to fail is if you give up on yourself and you don't follow your own beliefs.
No, I think that's a great answer. I mean, that's confidence in what you're doing and confidence in the long-term plan. And I think that's great to hear. Saw a question in here. You just got to scroll up here from. It was about education, educational resources. Are you guys within ProtocolX going to be providing educational resources about, aside from the white paper? Because there's a lot of people coming in to DeFi, and this is something that I had a conversation with someone about the other day. Like, I started out 8 months ago, right? And someone told me they can't believe, people starting out today, how difficult that would be. Are you guys going to be providing educational type resources to teach people about the ins and outs of the protocol and how it's going to work and how it works within DeFi?
Of course. I mean, just today I finished a Git book. We're still adding to it. And Paul Wox, who is an amazing graphics artist, has been working with every single day to make more and more material to put into the team, into, the Discords, the Twitter, the website. So everywhere we go, and we're trying to make everything as clear as possible. Now, there's no point, and that's the whole thing about if it's not broken, don't fix it. I mean, how are investors going to know what they're buying into if the information isn't there? So that, it's one of our main goals, sustainability. So if we can't provide essential information that should be quite basic to the investor in black and white, hey, this is what it is, this is why, then obviously that'll be one reason for critical failure. So yeah, all grounds are being covered as much as we physically can to try and get as much information out there. That's why we've got probably another 15 AMAs just in the build up to pre-sale and after pre-sale, just purely for educational purposes. And that's why we don't really set a time limit, because if there's a very important question that was asked, then hey, that's now been answered. But yeah, we are working our best to get as much educational info out as soon as.
Yeah,
Great.
that's awesome. Nick, you
Great
got some
answer.
questions?
Yeah, Dev123 asked a while ago about governance and the role that the community plays in project decision making, if any. Do you plan to engage community informally or formally in decision making?
Well, obviously we have X shares. Now, X shares is obviously you earn a percentage of the protocol, and there will be some sort of governance to that. There is a bit explained in the white paper, and I'll let Shib, expand on that if he wants to. However, the community is everything, and that's one thing I've learned as a moderator and a community manager is, hey, there's been many a times myself, I've been in a project and we've seen suspicious transactions and raised it to the team, and they've, shrugged it off. And now that, suspicious transaction was the downfall of their project. So every person that has, a suggestion, every project, every person, no matter of the size of your holding, just because you're a whale shouldn't mean you're treated differently, gets listened to. Now, we are looking obviously into ways we can have, a DAO system and as such. But as I said, these are just generic ways of adding extra quote unquote use cases to your token. But as for governance, yeah, we're definitely looking into that and the DAO system as well.
Yeah, and if I may just add real quick there, that's kind of what Brand mentioned there, is that there's different ways to work into that, but at the end of the day, we have to guide this project and this business to a successful point. I love the DAO aspect. I love the governing tokens aspect, which I can implement a system of that with the NFTs pretty well, because I see them as investing in the bigger piece of the project, and I have a couple LLCs, so I could even try to make that a very legitimate thing as well. But at the end of the day, it is my responsibility as a top to make this succeed. So if I hand this all over to the community and it gets ran off the rails, not only does my team lose jobs, but it's going to fall back on me, right? So I have a team here in place. I have myself. We have everything that we have going on in order to maintain a very level and very high chance of success. Now, if you let it go off the rails, we got to pull it back, and we can give different aspects of different things there to create decisions from the community, definitely with things that they should be making decisions on.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Anybody else in the audience have want to come up on stage and ask in voice?
Yeah, raise your hand if you got something that we didn't cover, didn't get asked, that you just want to ask, in voice.
Or feel free to just remind us in chat as well. I think we've covered everything.
I think the only thing I see Unified is typing something in here. I'm excited about whatever question he's got coming. He's always got some hard hitters. Post launch marketing plans. Who on the team is going to be mainly responsible for marketing, and what do those plans look like?
Marketing's a very open-ended subject. We have a lot planned, and as I said, our marketing plethora is really, really wide. So that will obviously be great. That will obviously be based on how much capital is raised. If we max out the pre-sale, we already have like a full-fledged plan. Something we're not willing to release yet because we don't want to set false expectations. And we don't want to say, "Hey, we're going to do this," and then we can't do it because we don't max out pre-sale. But we also have partners that we're integrating. And people that we're integrating. There is some things, unfortunately, we can't announce yet, which is annoying. Hopefully we can from Monday. But there's just, some technicalities on why we can't. But one of our partners, who helps us in a lot of ways, has a lot of marketing connections and a lot of ties that will help build, sort of that platform and that calendar for post-marketing. But post-marketing, post-launch is going to be heavy. We're going to go in as hard as we can. But as I said before, we're not just going to sit there and waste money on YouTubers for the sake of it. But there's going to be a strategy behind it all.
Okay, that's great. Waiting for a couple more questions again. Here we go. All right. So Unified just posted a question in the chat. I'll read the whole thing out for you guys. I don't know whether there's anything like this in the works in BSC, but there have been a lot of rumblings about decentralized ID, reputation tracking, soulbound wallets on ETH from projects like Gitcoin, BrightID, Orange, or Sysmo. In line with your focus on vetting projects on your decks, have you considered the opportunity that these sorts of tools will provide in terms of reducing the number of bad actors and protecting users? I could see something like this being very good for the BSC ecosystem as a whole.
Haven't looked into that specifically, but if they are in line with what we're looking at, then we will definitely contact them. So if you can pass me over their details, I'll definitely look into that, and I'll actually give you an update at a later point in regards to what's happening with that. So if you do want us to reach out and you think it will be beneficial for us, we most definitely want any way we can increase security. Like I said, the announcement on Monday, you will understand what we mean by security. It's just, because of, you guys know how it is. You can't prematurely announce things, although you want to tease them as much as you can. You've got the answer there. You just can't say exactly what it is. But anything security based, we're more than willing to look into. So forward it over to me directly. You could drop me a DM. I'll definitely take a look into that for you.
Yeah, I'll shoot you that. I'll shoot you that over for sure. One question that Lucky had asked earlier. So we talked about how don't broke, don't fix it, and it's on the Binance system. If this protocol does as well as you guys are hoping, do you anticipate trying to take it cross chain to bring an auto rebasing token to a separate chain?
I'll go into this a little bit, Bran. So cross-chain is going to be something I definitely look into developing for the DEX itself. The token bringing that cross-chain can be kind of done step by step. We've seen that done in other places. Generally, they have to get a wrapped token so that you can not only have that token be reminted elsewhere. So those are all very practical things to look into over time. But nevertheless, we have to get this W first. We have to get this successful launch and then the successful build on BSC, because we can't dilute our attention span too much, or else it will probably all fail, right? So we'll get this going. I'll likely expand the DEX before I expand the token, and then allow that to kind of be a natural feeding system. Now the DEX goes out there, I could bring the expanded blockchain token and feed that into some aspect of the DEX, for example. So that would be probably my step-by-step. I wouldn't look into that in the near future. I would probably say, hey, BSC is going to be what's going to be on our mind until we can effectively develop and expand accordingly. I also don't want to force it and allocate money to that when I could be allocating money to some of these other sustainability variables. So unless all those things are working super well, I can't really dilute our focus as well as our funding on expanding out until it's the right time to do so.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. You got to focus on what's ahead, with an idea of the future. And if you're able to reach that, then absolutely. So I don't want to, I think we've accidentally dodged Crypto Kool-Aid's question a couple times, asked it like 3 times, I think. My apologies, Crypto Kool-Aid there. How will VC money and fractionalized NFT shares held by the community work together?
How will VC money and fractionalized community shares? I don't think you're thinking about the right project, because I don't have a VC.
No, the only sort of VC funding we'd look into is for our business model. Now that's with every project. You're not going to have VCs invest just because the project's on the moon. You have to have some form of business model. We've discussed it a bit before. The only hint I'll give is DSS is sort of what we're looking at. You can riddle that and you can let that play on your mind, but I can't go any further. Reasons being is because of obviously legalities behind it. And there's always that bigger fish that wants a new idea. Let's leave it at that. But for VCs and blockchain partnerships, that will be useful for that business model. Now, a full documented detail and everything will be released in due course. But as I said, our main focus right now is sustainability and making sure that the model works. That's the important part.
Yeah,
Okay.
great answer. And we've got another great question from Logus767 that I think kind of brings. I think you guys covered this at the beginning, but it's worth covering it again, I think for the latecomers and just to kind of to hammer it home. Do you think that everything has gone according to plan at the beginning of the project, and that you have a good development and marketing team to help you achieve the mission and vision according to your roadmap? And can you tell us what is the biggest obstacle or limitation faced by Protocol X, and how you plan to fix it?
Yeah, so as far as how we expected it to go compared to how it actually went, I don't set low expectations necessarily, but I'm a very humble person just in my normal everyday personality in my life. So I build things the best to the 100% ability, and then I allow that build and all that work and all that effort. That is what I look forward to, is that work and effort. The result that comes from that is generally positive because of that work and effort, but I'm not chasing the result. So I hope that kind of gives a little bit of an idea of how just personally I look to build things there. And that in that sense, the work has gone fantastic. It's probably better than I could imagine. I'm doing AMAs every day, multiple times a day. Things are really turning up. It's gone super, super well. So I definitely appreciate where it's come to this point, and I look forward to the next week launch. As far as obstacles to overcome, fortunately, I had the capital to build all these things myself, so I didn't really have to rely on other people around me to get these things going, which was a significant stress reliever for the project as well as for me in the build. And it allows us to be more authentic. No one is, I'm not looking over my shoulder to try to fund and build this thing up as I should. I'm just reinvesting my own money, like how a small business would operate. I think obstacles that we could consider, that may be considered an obstacle, is that the markets still aren't really attracting new investors in DeFi right now. And in a sense, that's okay. And I'll touch just briefly. That's why YouTube videos aren't working right now. For anyone in here that's trying to get marketing out, YouTube is so great for getting people into DeFi who were never in DeFi before. They are amazing. Last year at this time, you could drop a YouTube video out and you have people Googling how to get into their, get a MetaMask all the way down to purchasing your product. That doesn't happen right now. And that's okay. That's just where we are in the space. So we build with that knowledge base already that, hey, we know what our audience is. We know what our realistic expectation of investors are right now. And then we build this product and we build additional marketing funds so that when these different obstacles come into place, we can say, okay, hey, let's take a step back. Let's see what this obstacle is, navigate it accordingly, and then overcome it. The next step will be, hey, what if these, revenue models aren't quite keeping up with the expectation of inflation? Good news for us as well, and we're not going to have 10,000 holders in a week, more than likely, right? Because we're in a bear market. So that actually benefits us on the inflationary aspect as well. So in a very long-winded say, I feel like things are going right to the plans that we've had, if not a little bit better. And the things that could come up into place here, I've already have thought about there, and as they come up, it's not going to make us shy away or get discouraged or crawl into a hole like you see some founders in DeFi do. I'm crypto full time. Brand's crypto full time. This is what we do. This is what we're here to do and build this business. And and I'll even say this: I was watching Shark Tank last night, and one of the lines that came up is, if you're not willing to leave your primary income for this business that you're building, then it's just a hobby. And I've left my primary income and my very stable career for full-time crypto on May 18th, because this is my business now. This is my life. So this is how we're going to overcome the issues. Is there's no room for failure. There's only room for building and expanding and growing, and then overcoming the obstacles as they come, because they are going to come in this world.
Yeah, great. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, great answer. I mean, that really drives a lot of confidence, especially with the self investment there. I think that really drives home a lot of the motivation to really make this work, which I think
Yeah,
is
for
great.
sure. Like, one thing I just want to touch point on as well, sorry to buy in, is that a lot of projects have a plan once their treasury's filled up. We've got a plan before that's filled up. We have a plan for if the treasury only fills 50%, if the treasury only fills up to 25%. There's always a plan. That's why we do everything based on percentages, not dollar value. I mean, the worst thing you could do with using dollar value is if you go, hey, I'm going to put $50,000 into this, and you can't afford to, then you're now confused. Whereas if you use percentages, you're able to then use the percentages of the funds raised rather than having a solid number. So that's why we work in percentages. Now, like Neil said, we're full time. we dedicate our lives to this. CK's full time, Adam's full time, Wox isn't full time, but the hours he puts in are basically full time. A couple of our moderators are even full time. The majority of the team are full time crypto, so there is a lot of time we could put into this. There's no other, blocks in life. And as Shiv said, if you can't invest all your time into your startup or your business, then it's not going to work. And as Shiv said, he left a very secure job. I left a very secure job, and we're looking to make an impact in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate all that. You guys have given such thorough answers. I think better than I could have expected this to go. For myself. I mean, I know you guys are incredibly knowledgeable, but just the in-depth answers that you're able to provide have been huge.
We appreciate it. And you know what? I've been really looking forward to finally having a really in-depth and technical AMA. And we've been going for around an hour and a half. And honestly, everyone that's come today and anyone that's asked a question, I really appreciate it because it's going to be an awesome recording.
Yeah, very excited to be able to publish it. So I haven't seen any new questions pop up in the chat. There's some comments if you guys want to scroll through that and review those after. Does anybody in the audience have anything they want to throw in? Degenic or anybody got any questions they want to ask before we we'll run the last giveaway for the Bit Daemon that Lucky wants to throw in. I think he had to bounce from the chat, but it'll be another Tiny Daemon. Oh no, he's down there in the bottom, but we'll run that giveaway here in a second for Smackaroonie, and then I'll announce the 3 winners for the Twitter contest as well. Smackaroonie, you want to?
Yeah, I think this AMA was very long and interesting and full of a lot of information to process. So I think we could wrap it up with a nice new giveaway.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, you want to run that in the questions
No
chat again?
problem.
All right, she's going to throw up that last Tiny Daemons giveaway, and then I don't know if any of them will be here, but I ran the Twitter picker giveaway. Yeah, twitterpicker.com thing, and I got the 3 names here based off Shiblord wanted to do a giveaway for 3 winners for 1,500 tokens for like, retweet, comment, tag 2 friends, and follow them and Raiders. And I'll announce it on Twitter as well. I'll make a post after this for them to be able to reach out and contact us, and then Shiblord, you and I'll talk and we'll get you their information. But the winners that we have for this are Crypto P, Peter Myers, and Tuho Purse, which I believe he's in one of the DAOs with me as well. So congrats for that, guys. Appreciate you spreading this out there and getting some more name recognition and some hype for this. I mean, it's been a great audience and a great AMA, so we really appreciate that.
That's our pleasure, and thank you for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for coming. It was great. So much valuable info. And you guys seem like you really know what you're doing. And that is more than I can say for like majority of DeFi projects. So it's wonderful. I'm starting the giveaway, right? You
Yep.
guys have 3
Absolutely.
minutes to react to this.
Yeah, Shib, Bran, CK, you stick around if you want to see it. If not, I know you guys got a lot of other stuff in the works, and we appreciate all your time.
Yeah, great job, guys. I mean, and really nice to find a project that has thought about and has experience in managing the business aspects, not just the technical and marketing aspects.
Yep, hey, I just want to say appreciate you guys. Thank you for hosting us here. And if you guys could just let me know who those winners are in that giveaway. Obviously, the tokens will get minted later this week, so I need to get them hooked up there. But just want to say, hey, shout out to everyone that joined in here. Thank you, CK and Brand, for coming on in here with me, and thank you for all the team over here at Raiders to host us there. So please, if you guys have any questions, hit us up. My DMs are open. Come up in our Discord. Read over the white paper. Pre-sales August 10th, ends the 15th. Be there. Be a friend. Tell the world. And that's about all I got.
All right. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll be. I'm confident in this project. Looking forward to investing and seeing where this goes. Thanks, gentlemen.
Awesome. Have a good day, guys.
You as well.
You as well. Thank you.
Yep, and thanks
I
everybody for coming and
re-rolled
participating.
the giveaway.